Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Starfield has been a hugely anticipated PC game and it's finally here. And the great news is that you can get it for free. That's right, for free with a couple of great PC builds. Today we're going to do 3 builds starting at 1080p for $600, 1440p for $900, and $1,250 for 4K. Remember, if you get value out of this video, give it a like as it makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon, that way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it.
This video is sponsored by Deepcool's new 8K digital CPU cooler series. Monitor your temps and CPU usage using the sleek, customizable digital readouts on top of an impressive array of air coolers. The 8K400 Digital offers impressive cooling at low noise with a sleek, digital readout for mid-range systems. For high-performance needs, step up to the AK500 Digital with 5 heat pipes and extended fin stack. And for ultra-high performance, the AK620 Digital provides top-tier cooling. For amazing cooling with an awesome digital readout, check out the links in the video description.
Starfield is a hugely anticipated game coming out on September 6th. Early access starts on the 1st if you get the premium edition. We'll go through those in just a moment. But the great news is if you're upgrading your GPU or you're building a whole new system, which is why you're watching this video, you can actually get the game for free by buying a select Radeon GPU or a select Ryzen CPU. That offer goes through September 30th at the time of filming. You just need to redeem your code by the end of October. So the two different versions of Starfield are either the standard edition, which is just the base game for a $69 value, or the digital premium edition, which comes with the base game, comes with the expansion pack for the Shattered Story when it comes out, comes with 5 days early access, comes with the Constellation skin pack. Those are all the skins that they've been using in like the trailer promos. And then it comes to access with the digital art book and the original soundtrack. Okay, so then what bundle pertains to which parts? On the GPU side, a little simpler. Basically, the 6600, 6600 XT, 6650 XT, and the RX 7600, all of those get the standard edition of the game. Whereas if you buy any of the 6700 or 7700 or higher GPUs, you basically get the premium edition of the game. That even pertains to the 6700 non-XT 10GB card. On the CPU side, it just pertains to the Ryzen 7000 series CPUs, not the Ryzen 5000 or older CPUs. So if you buy like a Ryzen 5 7600 all the way up to a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D, you get the standard edition. I'm not going to recommend you buy Ryzen 9 for any of these gaming builds. That's where you get the premium edition. Not really worth it for gaming. So what is AMD recommending that you get for this game? Well, note that these are very different than what Bethesda's recommending, but let's focus in on the GPU because that's the most important part, and their CPU recommendations kind of nonsense here. But their GPU recommendation for 1080p is the RX 7600. The GPU recommendation for 1440p is around a 6800, and the featured GPU for the 4K is a 7900 XT. Note they call these featured GPUs and CPUs not recommended or required. Kind of weird language here, but I think we can get some idea of what we're looking for in terms of the specs. Let's jump into the budget Starfield PC. So this is kind of get you in 1080p levels, high performance, $590. Now, I will say that you can actually do this build if you're a little tight on cash for as low as $525 if you simply go with the lowest level GPU recommended, which is about the RX 6600, and of course comes with a free edition, standard edition of Starfield. But I decided to give us a little bit more punch at 1080p, possibly even 1440p here by going with the RX 6700 non-XT. Not only that, but we basically get a $30 extra bonus in there. We get the premium edition of the game, and all we have to do is spend another $70. So it makes a lot of sense. We get the premium edition kind of for free, so that's a $30 value. And then we're only really pouring in an extra, what, $40 or so to get a super performant GPU with 10 gigs of VRAM that completely smokes the 6600, smokes the RTX 3060, any of those GPUs out there, 2 thumbs up there. I will say if you have another $50, makes a lot of sense to jump up to the 6700 XT with 12 gigs. It's a substantially faster GPU as well. That GPU would probably solidify you at 1440p, but this is going to give you anywhere from 1080p to 1440p levels of performance. For the rest of the platform, remember when we're building a gaming PC, we want to get the biggest, fastest GPU we can, and then simply get a CPU platform that's not going to bottleneck it. And here, either Intel or AMD have some great options. On the Intel side, you could go i3 1200F. I'll leave that with a good B660 motherboard, link down in the video description. But coming in about $30 or $40 cheaper is the Ryzen 5 5500, 6 cores, 12 threads. Yes, lacks PCIe Gen 4, but you really don't need it. You really do not need it. $90 for the CPU. Again, both of those CPUs come with great included stock coolers. For the motherboard, the great news is that we can go with something like the ASUS Prime B450M-A2. It's got BIOS flashback on it. Great motherboard. $80 is all this thing costs. Got a ton of rear panel connectivity. It's very, very entry level audio, entry level other kinds of features, but I would grab this board first if I could. For the RAM, we're simply gonna go cheap RAM here, but we wanna get 3200 CL16 RAM or faster. Honestly, for $30, no real reason to go any faster than that. You can reach up for another 20 bucks and get 32 gigs of RAM. I don't really see the benefit of it. I would say go cheaper here. If you're gonna spend money anywhere, maybe get more storage or a faster GPU. For the SSD, we're simply going with a cheap M.2 NVMe 500 gig option for $23. Storage is so cheap right now. So cheap, in fact, that for another $10 or $15, you can actually get 1 terabyte instead. That is another area I would look at going up if you can on this. But the Silicon Power A60, great budget NVMe drive. For the case, the good news is there's a ton of great options between anywhere from about $45 all the way up to about $70-ish right now. Enermax Marble Shell is a case I've recommended in the past. It's got 3 pre-installed fans. They are ARGB. It's got 2 in the front, 1 in the rear. It's got a PSU shroud to it. Really, really nice case. Right now with the promo code, it's only $59 over at Newegg. For the power supply, this has been our go-to in what has been a really rough budget PSU market right now, but the Apiva Prestige 600 watt. This is a C tier rated on the PSU cultist list. Remember, that's very important. Don't get some garbage tier thing that's going to blow up your build. And check out our best PSU buying guide if you're not sure how to buy and size the right PSU for your build. This is a great one, $52 right now, 600 watts. You don't need 600 watts. It just happens to be the best, cheapest unit out there right now. So for just $595, you're gonna get a Starfield capable gaming PC, probably 1440p, but definitely good FPS at 1080p. And this is gonna play tons and tons of other titles at 1440p, as well as giving you that 10 gigs of VRAM. And it's gonna come with the premium edition of Starfield. So you'll get early access, you'll get all the skins, you'll get the expansion pack when it launches. So this is a great build. Jumping to a couple quick monitor recommendations for our budget Starfield build. Look at that, $119 for the AOC 24G1A. This is a 24-inch 1080p. Yes, it's a curved VA panel, but honestly, for $119, it is really tough to find something that beats this. Unfortunately, that Corey monitor that I was recommending last month seems to have gone way up in price right now and sold out. FreeSync Premium on this, it's adjustable tilt and swivel. Honestly, great entry-level monitor. If you're looking for something flat IPS or larger, I went with a Gigabyte G27F, great monitor, 165 Hz refresh rate, but remember, flat IPS, 1080p, also has a number of USB connectivity to it, which is super nice as well. $159 right now. Let's jump into that $900 1440p Starfield PC build. And honestly, I really feel like you could do this for about $800. I probably went a little bit overkill on the 1440p side of things just to make sure you get the really smoothest, best experience. I also went kind of premium on some of the other parts we'll go through. You can certainly go with slightly more budget-ish kind of parts instead to get the overall cost down. Let's jump into the GPU because this is kind of the stickiest part of the whole build. Now, the good news is any of the GPUs I'm about to show you will come with the premium edition of Starfield, a $100 value, basically $99.99. So that's great. And I decided to go with the XFX Speedster Merc Radeon RX 6800, the non-XT 6800, 16 gigs of VRAM, super high performance. It can even do 4K in a lot of titles, possibly even Starfield, but I would go with this as a really super solid, really good, smooth experience in Starfield. Now you can, of course, come down. If you don't quite have $900 and you want to go with something lesser, I think the RX 6700 XT, possibly the 6750 XT would also be good choices. Those were about $329 up to about $350. 6750 XT is slightly faster than the 6700 XT. I think those also would be good, really good choices for 1440p. But let me tell you, AMD, just to muddle the picture, just announced, of course, the 7700 XT and 7800 XT. Let's set the 7800 XT aside. We'll talk about that in the next build. 7700 XT, the problem is the price makes no sense. $449 for a 12 gigabyte GPU. It's supposed to be as fast as the 6800, the one I'm showing you, but only comes with 12 gigs of VRAM. And yes, has slightly better power efficiency, it has better ray tracing on it, and it has AV1 encoding, which is all super nice. I just don't understand why $449. Honestly, if you're going to do that, just go ahead and get the 7800 XT because that also has 16 gigs of VRAM. So I'm hoping AMD does come to their senses on that. So that's another GPU choice you can choose. They do come out September 6th, though, which is the day that Starfield launches. So if you want to get something going earlier, you can go RX 6800 instead.
Future Jason here. I realized that the XFX 6800 is a little too long for the Deepcool CC360 ARGB case that I have coming up. If you like that case, just get the Power Color RX 6800 instead for $439, or if you want the XFX RX 6800, then go with a case like the Bitphoenix Nova Mesh Micro ATX for $59 instead.
For the rest of the platform, we need a faster CPU than those lighter CPUs we were looking at. You can either go with a Ryzen 5600 or you can go with the i5-12400. I've gone here with the 5600 combo because with motherboard and everything, it comes out cheaper. And AMD has a history during these big launches of making it rain in terms of the discounts. So I'm going to guess that we're going to see some sales on this CPU. Right now, $145. You've been able to get it as low as about $130 recently. Great overall CPU. Again, if you want to go i5-12400, check out our build guide for that. Also very, very performant CPU. Identical performance to the 5600. Both come with great included stock coolers, but I would recommend for performance, for 20 bucks, just go ahead and buy an aftermarket cooler. I went with the Thermalright Assassin X here. It's ARGB. It's going to make the system slightly quieter under load. It's going to give you a little bit more thermal headroom under load. And it's only about $18. Any of these 4 or 5 heat pipe tower style coolers are absolutely fine. For the motherboard, this is probably the reason I really did go with the Ryzen 5600. You can get great B550 motherboards with way better feature than the Intel B660 motherboards out there, including the ASRock B550M Pro 4, $104. Great features, great VRMs on this thing. The only thing it doesn't have is BIOS flashback, but at this point you don't really need it. You should not encounter a board with an old enough BIOS that won't boot with it, and has come with a Type-C, a lot of high-speed rear panel connectivity to it. I really do like this board. Upgraded audio, ALC 1200 on it, $104, insane value. For the RAM, I decided to up the speed to 3600 CL16 for about $15 more than we were spending on that cheaper kit. You probably could go with the cheaper kit. I'm just going to give our CPU all the power it can get. I went with a 2x8 gigabyte kit here. You can go with more RAM, of course. You can go 32 gigs as well. You don't need to. The other thing I would say, if you want RGB here, there are kits about 60 bucks for the same speed, 3600 CL16, that have RGB. Now for the drive, I went with something that actually has DRAM on it. So this is not just a budget NVMe SSD. This is kind of more of a mid-range SSD. You can see it does not cost actually that much more. It's only $39 for 1 terabyte, $39 for 1 terabyte. Totally insane value. I would pick up storage like crazy right now. I'm not sure if it's going to keep at this low price, but right now it's a great time to buy it. This is the Silicon Power A80 for only $40. For the case, I went with the Deepcool CC360 ARGB case. It's a micro ATX case. Some people don't like the look of a ATX size case with a micro ATX motherboard. If you don't care, you can get any of the other ones. Honestly, there are tons and tons of great cases right now. I like this one, just kind of looks super cool from Deepcool. 3 included ARGB fans, and I really do like the fans it comes with. PSU shroud to it. I mean, what do you want for $59? Great value.
Remember, if you want this case, get the Power Color RX 6800 Non-XT for $439.
For the PSU, we're still going 600 watts here. We're still sticking with the C-tier rated Apiva Prestige 600 watt, $52. We already went over this PSU, so we don't need to do that again, but great value. So for just about $900, or if you want to go with the 6700 XT, more about $800, you get a super performant 1440p Starfield PC. Starfield PC at 1440p that includes the premium edition of Starfield, increased CPU power over a more budget model, way increased GPU power, a little bit more bling to it, and it's got a little bit more premium-ish features as well. Let's go through some great 1440p gaming monitor recommendations. Obviously, Starfield is not a game you need super high FPS. You're not looking for 240 hertz. So if we go with something like the Acer Nitro XV272U, which I absolutely love and has been our #1 mid-range 1440p gaming monitor recommendation, it's on for $229 right now. That's so insane in terms of its overall price. Remember, this monitor at some point was priced in like the 350s, and now it's down to $229. That just shows you how far 1440p gaming monitors have fallen and how competitive Acer's decided to get in this space. 175 hertz, honestly, this is a great monitor. Totally recommend it at $229. Looking for something a little bit larger, like 32-inch, I like the LG 32GN650B, also on sale right now for $276. 165 hertz refresh rate. Both these monitors are IPS flat panels. Both have really good color to them and really good motion handling. Honestly, it's just a matter of whether or not you want 32-inch or you want this smaller monitor and save a little bit of money. Let's go over a $1,250 premium Starfield PC build. The good news is, for $1,250 on this PC, you are going to get the premium edition. That's right, the $100 edition. Right now, I've got the 6800 XT 16 gig in here as a placeholder because it's not yet in PC Part Picker for the 7800 XT. That is a GPU I would really like to target. I will say, as much as I just ragged on the 7700 XT and the terrible pricing, I'm going to give AMD huge accolades. I think the 7800 XT at $499 is a great value. It's going to get 16 gigs of VRAM. It's going to come with AV1 encoding. We expect it to be about 10% faster than the 6800 XT, which is the same speed right now as the RTX 4070. It's going to have more VRAM. It's going to have all the AV1 encoding. It's going to have good ray tracing performance out of it. Overall, I think this is going to be a really, really good GPU. Now, I have not tested it yet, and obviously third-party benchmarks at the time of filming this haven't come out yet, but I think based on the specs alone, based on where we know the 6800 XT performs, and based on how we've seen the rest of the RDNA 3 lineup slot in, feel pretty confident about this prediction. Your other option here is to go up the ladder to something like the 7900 XT with 20 gigs on it, $749, so it's basically $250 more. Will give you substantially more performance though, substantially more performance. I just picked the Power Color Hellhound here out of the lot. We actually have this GPU. I like it a lot. Looks really, really nice. If you want to go up super solid 4K performance, this is where I would go. Jumping into the platform, obviously we've come up considerably in terms of GPU power, so we don't want to bottleneck our GPU. We got to get a faster CPU. The Ryzen 5 7600 is way faster than the platforms we've been looking at, and honestly, it has no equal in terms of its price to performance. Right now at $219, also does come with the basic edition of Starfield by itself, so if you do want to get an NVIDIA GPU, this would be the way to go. I will say not really any competition on Intel side. It's scratching my head. I don't know why Intel doesn't cut prices on the 13600K. Kind of questionable out there, but this is a great price to performance CPU. The other thing is we've seen this on sale for as low as $199. You can get the 7600 or the 7600X. Doesn't really matter between the two. Just get the cheaper of them. And I'm hoping that we see those similar sales come out during the Starfield launch. I do recommend getting rid of the box cooler that comes with the 7600. 7600X doesn't come with one at all. I love the Deepcool AG400. Is a great value cooler. Remember, these CPUs will immediately go to their TJ Max basically under load. So they're going to go to their max temp under load. And a really, really nice CPU cooler for that is the Deepcool AG400. $23. It's a standard tower heat cooler, but it's higher performance than some of the other ones out there. ARGB. There's also an all-white version for the same price. You can, of course, come up in terms of cooling. Check out a Ryzen 7600 build guide if you want to increase the cooling and what I'd recommend there. For the motherboard, look, there's tons and tons of great boards to get. I like the ASRock B650M Pro RS Wi-Fi. It's got 3 M.2s on it. It's got Wi-Fi on it. It's $150. Really only available at Newegg, though. I haven't seen it over at Amazon. If for whatever reason you have to use Amazon, I'll leave a couple other boards that I do like linked in the video description. You can also check out our best motherboard for Ryzen 2023 video. We go through the whole lineup, including why we're going B650 here versus X670, which honestly nobody should use. For the RAM, especially now that AMD has released their new AGESA, their BIOS update, so just make sure to update those motherboard BIOSes to the most current one that's not a beta version. You should be able to clock up the RAM to 6000 CL30. That's the speed we're going to get. Really no reason to go any speed other than that right now. 5600 CL28 would effectively be the same speed. I'm going with this Team Force Delta kit. It's ARGB, $104. You can of course find cheaper non-RGB kits starting around like $90, but honestly for $15, let's let this thing look super cool. There's also an all white version of this. We've already talked about the SSD. I'm going with the same 1 terabyte. Again, you can go with a 2 terabyte drive here instead if you want to spend another $40. That's honestly one of my other recommendations once we've kind of increased our CPU and GPU power. But again, great drive for the build. For the case, there's just tons and tons of good cases out there. I went with the Lian Cool 216. I really liked this case when we did it in our 7800X 3D kind of best gaming build video. Really, really performative. It fixed all the issues of its predecessor, the 215. I do not recommend the 215. Go with the 216 instead. It's got these really nice, super large fans on them. ARGB. You can replace the fan in the rear if you want with an RGB one. Don't have to. You can add a couple more fans up top. Plenty of room also for a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, top mounted if you wanted to do that. $99, just absolutely insane value. I love this case. For the PSU, we're going with a Corsair RM750E. Fantastic unit. I continue to recommend. 750 watts, ATX 3.0, A tier rated on the PSU Cultist list, fully modular. I don't know what else to say about this one other than buy it. This is a great value. So for $1,250, or if you want to go with the 7900 XT, $1,500, you're going to get an insanely performative gaming PC. You're going to get great CPU performance out of this, and it's going to look amazing as well. Let's go through some great monitor recommendations at the higher end. Let's go 4K and then we'll go OLED. 4K Gigabyte M28U, 144 Hertz, $449. In fact, it got down to $429 the other day. Could go back there, and that's insane value. I bought 2 of them. It's flat, it's IPS, FreeSync Premium Pro on it. It's got DisplayPort 1.4, but it's got HDMI 2.1 on it. I still recommend using DisplayPort if you can, but seriously good value at $449. If you're instead looking for something that's OLED, right now the LG 27-inch Ultra Gear OLED, now this is 1440p, but it's 240 Hertz, $809. And people say, well, what about the Asus PG, blah, blah, blah. The other one that's very similar uses the same panel. Yeah, it's $200 more. I just can't recommend it at that price given this is so cheap. If instead you're looking for an ultra-wide gaming experience, check out the Alienware 34-inch. It's AW3423 DWF. It's a huge mouthful, but it's $899 right now. There's a slightly more expensive version of it that has G-Sync. This one's FreeSync Premium Pro. Honestly, either of these OLED monitors is going to give you incredible HDR gaming. Remember, links to everything are down in the video description for all of the builds and monitors. And if you got value out of the video, give it a like because it makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Hey, speaking of cool content, check out our best CPU and GPU combo 2023 video right here. We go through everything that you need to know to size your CPU with your GPU all the way up to 4K. And we'll catch you on the next one.